Today, we have a forgotten town in Oregon where the locals were overrun by a cult that was eventually taken down by the FBI.
You know, I think I actually might know this one.
You know the cult?
I think I know which story this is, which
Really?
is the first time this has ever happened.
Oh my God!
I think, but I'm not going to say it just in case.
All right, yeah, don't spoiler it. Don't spoiler it.
If I'm wrong, I'll just stay quiet. If I'm right, I'll say I knew that.
This is never going to happen. You're never going to stay quiet.
Okay,
You're
so
contractually obliged to talk. It's a podcast.
I'm sitting this one out. Actually,
You're saying this is just a monologue. Okay, that's fine. Hey, here we go. This is Where Did Everyone Go? With me, Dr. Sasha Aravak.
and me, Tom Ward, a journey into the weird history of abandoned places. So Oregon, where's that? What's it like?
Oregon is beautiful. You're talking about the northwest part of America on the Pacific coast, and we're in Oregon's Central Plains, which is nestled between two mountain ranges, the Cascades in the west and the Rockies in the east. It's a dry prairie, very scattered settlements. It's a land of big ranches and small towns.
Okay, and so from the video, you instantly get the impression that this is the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It feels like you could drive for miles without seeing another soul.
Yeah, but then there's this leafy oasis that appears out of nowhere. But when you get there, you realize it's full of abandoned buildings.
Yeah, and there's an abandoned school and an abandoned playground where it's clear no one has been playing for decades. Okay then, Sasha, what happened to this place and where did everyone go?
So this is the town of Antelope. For years, the residents of this small community led a peaceful life until some new neighbors landed them at the center of international news. It all started in 1981 when a 64,000-acre ranch called the Big Muddy was purchased by a small group of people, maybe 5 or 6. And they claimed to want to use it for agricultural purposes. A lot of agriculture in this region. I actually know someone from this region, a guy named Tom Wall, whose parents were, and I kid you not, blueberry ranchers. This is what you do with blueberries. You ranch them, apparently.
Right.
Yes. Get along, little berries. Get along.
So they basically farmed berries.
They farmed berries. Yeah, they were berry farmers. But it turned out that the purchasers of the ranch, supposedly for agricultural purposes, were actually followers of an Indian mystic called Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh. And Bhagwan said that he awoke one day and found himself to be a god. And he talked these people into
To be God.
believing it.
No, to be God.
To be God. Not a god, but the god.
Let me say that again because that's quite crucial.
Okay.
A God and God.
Yeah, two different things.
Yeah.
No polytheism
Keep the energy
here.
up. Everything else was great. I thought
right.
that was fantastic. Last push. This episode.
Are we
or
going to keep this
get a second series
in
or not
episode,
based
in
on
episode
this
direction
episode?
in this? Okay. Bhagwan said he awoke and found himself to be God. And he talked these people into believing it. His followers were recognizable by their red, orange, maroon, and pink clothes, and they were known as Rajnishis, named after their leader.
Okay. Now I've just realised this is not the story that I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
First of all, I admit that humbly. I thought it was going to be David Koresh,
But
that was in Waco.
that was in Waco, Texas.
So I should have known straight away.
yes.
He had a standoff with the FBI as
Also,
well.
he was not in any way an Indian mystic.
No, he wasn't. And when you said Indian mystic, I realized I also know who this is. This is a man who later renamed himself Osho
This
or
is true.
Osho.
Yes.
But when he said, I just want to clarify because I've read quite a few of his books.
Really?
Yeah. He said he found himself to be God.
Yes.
There's a kind of stigma around that people will say, oh, he's a madman who says he's God. From my understanding, what he means by that is that we are all God. And that we all contain God, and that he just found that he'd found the clarity where he could be pure, he could feel purity, he could feel transcendent, and that meant that he could embody God, experience God.
Got it.
And that he then wanted to teach people how to be God as well, and that he already saw everyone as God.
Got it. So batshit crazy, but batshit crazy in a different, more kind of holistic way.
And an evangelical way.
And evangelical.
Wanting to help everyone else feel like God.
Feel just as batshit crazy as he was.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks for clearing that up. That's good.
No problem.
Now, these Rajnishis were...
Just to clarify, God is a state of being,
Yes.
not something you worship.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, that is very, very mystical. Now, what you're saying makes a lot of sense considering kind of how this cult shapes itself, because the Rajnishis were devoted to a religious cultural movement, which combined elements of Eastern religions, including Buddhism and Hinduism, with Western psychotherapy and a kind of Western consumerist mindset. Okay. It soon became clear that this seemingly small commune of Rajnishis on the edge of town was part of a widespread movement with very deep pockets. Bhagwan himself had several record-selling books, as you mentioned, you've read some of them, as well as many meditation centers and communes all over the world. And this brought in considerable revenue. If you'll recall, this is not our only episode about...
Episode?
Our only episode. This is a new word. I'm coining a new word, an episode.
I knew this podcast had changed you. You've become snobby.
No, I was pretty posh to begin with. We had another episode about a cult leader, which was it Jerry Falwell that we did?
Oh, we're talking the Abundant Life build.
Yeah.
He was more of a televangelist.
Televangelist. But there's definitely a bit of a cult thing about that too.
Yeah, Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts, that was it. Oral Roberts.
Yes.
Yeah, but religion's a big business in the States.
It is, but having that kind of entrepreneurial element is going to appeal to more Westerners, isn't it? If you have a kind of commercialized version of it, then more of the average guy.
You can get the cookbook.
Be like, oh, okay.
Get the T-shirt. Yeah.
It kind of removes it from that kind of abstract, intimidating thing that Eastern religions often have, where you feel like you're going to have to just renounce everything.
And asceticism, the simple life. I mean, there are movements like that, in America too.
Sure.
That sense of, giving things up and kind of the non-material spirituality that happens as well.
Yeah, but it's never going to catch in the same way because it's not going to have that rampant capitalistic flavor that people like.
Very true. But also this is the age of, religion spreading not just through literature, but spreading through television, radio, all these other media venues. So back to our man Bhagwan. As more and more followers poured into the ranch in Oregon, the true scale of their ambition became clear. They built a dam, they built an airport, they even had their own electrical grid set up. So imagine how this must have felt for the people of Antelope, this small community. An entire city built just a few miles away from them almost overnight.
Quite a surprise, I'm going to assume. Yeah.
Quite a surprise.
So tell me more about Bhagwan Rajneesh, because I know about what he did here a little bit, but I don't know what he was doing before all this. Yeah. What was his story?
Well, like myself, he was an academic, actually. He spent the first 30-odd years of his life in India working at the University of Jabalpur as a lecturer in philosophy. But he quit his post in 1966 and began traveling across India, becoming known as a vocal critic of the orthodoxy of mainstream religions and political ideologies associated with the famous Mohandas K. Gandhi, also known as Mahatma Gandhi. He established an ashram and offered a variety of therapies to a growing Western following. It's in this period when Eastern religions start to become really popular in the West. And we also did a story about that, if you remember the story of the Beatles and the ashram. That was episode...
That was an early one. That was episode 11.
That was episode 11, yeah.
And Lennon the
first time you did your Yoko Ono impersonation.
I don't do any Yoko Ono impressions. That gets you in trouble if you do that sort of thing.
That's an absolute falsity. I
would
retract
Lennon,
that statement.
I will impersonate him.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that. So Bhagwan establishes an ashram and offers a variety of therapies to a growing Western following. And in it, he incorporates methods first developed by the human potential movement. This revolves around the concept of this idea that all humans have this extraordinary untapped potential inside them.
Okay, AKA being God, maybe. Maybe there's a bit of that.
Sure. I guess. I mean,
are you?
Just being your best self, I suppose.
Yeah, higher self. But yeah, I guess there's definitely a right market. I guess in the 80s as well, in America, there would have been a right market with all the rampant materialism and MTV and satanic hair metal and Pop-Tarts and teen delinquents.
Yeah,
and post-Vietnam nihilism, was that a thing?
Sure.
Anti-establishmentarianism?
I mean, I think it's more this if anything, it's probably a bit of a turn away from that, a turn away from the rampant consumerism and pop culture and, being blitzed on TV by the ads. Like, you're made by the products you consume. You're made by the car you drive. You're made by the house that you live in. I mean, this is more about the look inwards for spiritual enlightenment and the idea that, how do you actually live, this debate about how you live a richer life. Do you live a richer life by living richer materially, or do you live a richer life by having a richer interior life, where you tap this untapped potential?
Okay, so there's a picture of a Rolls-Royce there. You don't associate a luxury car with the kind of anti-materialism.
No, and again, we have to remember that this was extremely financially lucrative for Bhagwan. In fact, in the 80s, he refocuses his efforts in the U.S. He moves to Oregon. He sets up this commune. And by 1984, just at that one commune alone, so not his worldwide following, but just at this one location, he's got 7,000 members.
Wow.
And as you point out, he had a taste for expensive things, particularly cars. It's said that at one point, he owned a fleet of no less than 93 Rolls-Royces.
Wow.
I know. That's a lot of Rolls-Royces.
Is there I don't know, does materialism undermine a guru? Because we seem to prefer our gurus to be abstinent and anti-materialist and ascetic. But does being able to enjoy both the physical and the spiritual, does that undermine the other?
Kind of distinct Western adaptation of Buddhism, because Buddhism is traditionally very aesthetic, very non-materialistic.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of wearing robes, is to demonstrate. And you had this, in Western monks as well, guys like the Franciscans, brown rough-spun robes with nothing more than a rope for a belt. I mean, it's not just the traditional way. It is integral to the spiritual beliefs that you don't desire the things of this world, right? Because according to classical Buddhism, desire is the root of all suffering. But I assume that would also include desiring Rolls-Royces and other luxury cars. So to me, as someone who has studied Buddhism and on occasion, practiced it in one way or another, the idea that a Buddhist would want not one Rolls-Royce but 93 seems an anathema.
But I don't think he is a Buddhist. I think the point is he takes a bit of this and a bit of that. It's human potential derived from all sources.
No, he's a businessman. He's a businessman in many ways.
Clearly, and he's definitely winning.
He's using this his charisma and his supposed kind of Eastern wisdom to accumulate a massive amount of money, which I think is it's the definition of corruption, really.
I've seen his outfits. Yeah. He did wear robes, but he often had kind of quite a lot of fancy stuff happening on the shoulders. It was kind of like Eddie Murphy in those early concerts when he'd wear all leather suits, and it was all kind of powerful shoulders. Yeah, he pimped out his robes.
And the other thing,
and he liked watches. He would have a lot of gold watches.
I have nothing against having a nice watch.
That's fine, is it?
Well, a couple of vintage watches.
It's easy when it's you, just because you like watches.
Well, it's not 93 Rolls-Royces, is it?
How many watches have you got?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Well, there you go.
I am not legally obliged to answer these questions.
Guilty, hypocritic.
But
I can't even say the word. I've never been hypocritical myself.
Unlike the Bhagwan, I don't wear them all at once, and I don't expect legions of adoring fans to line the streets when I walk down bedecked in them. No.
I would love it if we do a second series if you came in wearing all your watches to episode 1.
Watches?
Would you do that?
No.
All up your arm?
No, it defeats the whole. It's like having 93 prayer bracelets on your arm. You just need the one, really. It's one of those things where one is enough.
It's about
for anyone.
It's about fun. It's about enjoying your life.
It's about being able to lift your arms. How am I going to eat my giant lunchtime burritos if I'm wearing all these watches bedecking my arms?
One of these kids over here could feed you.
One of these kids. Now we're getting into cult leader territory. Please, feed me pieces of my burrito. I can't raise my arms because they're so bedecked with bling. What am I, Janet Jackson? I mean, come on, man.
Good reference. We're trying to appeal to younger people here. Don't be bringing Janet Jackson into this.
Sorry. What am I? Charlie XCX?
There you go.
Now, the other thing that strikes me as profoundly hypocritical for a man who claims to be devoted to spiritual wisdom is this idea of adoration, that he wanted his followers to essentially worship him and act in a worshipful manner. And apparently they would do this. They would line the highway, and when he drove past, he would slow down, and they'd all bow to him, which again is the anathema of the Buddhist idea of humility. That no individual really matters. That it's really kind of the collective the universal that we should freeing oneself of the burden of ego is really very much at the center of Buddhism.
And also Buddha himself, I think, said, "Don't worship me when I die. Don't make statues of me."
Yeah.
Just because it's a type of death, isn't it? To be worshipped is to kind of take something's essence and water it down and turn it into a spectacle that you kind of objectify rather than
and I think,
allow it to embody you.
And I think we should always, in a democratic society, we should always be cautious about the idea of leaders or individuals who desire and crave and demand worship, who demand people to kind of bow down and abase themselves. Because, I mean, if the essence of democracy is equality, how dangerous is it that one individual would say put themselves above all others and say, I know better than everybody else, and you should worship me and only me.
Oh, you're always trashing Ceausescu. He was a good man. Why do you always have it in for Ceausescu?
Yeah, and Maggie Thatcher. I'm harsh on her too.
I think there's probably a reason though that he allowed himself to be worshipped. I think there's also like allowing yourself to become a focal point that people can use to target their emotions and target their intent.
It was very gratifying, and also it made him an absolute shed load of money.
Yes.
Yeah. But
93 Rolls-Royces, come on.
That's just the start, 93.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I mean, I'd have to stop at 60. I mean, 60 Rolls-Royces should be enough for anyone.
Yeah. Okay. So it all sounds all right so far. So when did it all start kicking off? And you mentioned at the start there was some conflict. I haven't seen any conflict yet.
Oh, you just wait. So
there is a mugshot. That does look like a mugshot to me. So I'm thinking...
Looks a bit muggy. It's true. So Bhagwan's followers keep pouring into the commune, and they start buying property in the local area. And at that point, the locals start to fear that they're going to take over the city government and end up having a say on things like education and local schools, which I'm sure they would, for lack of a better term, want to Bhagwanize in some way, and turn them into, like, we're taking out all the traditional stuff and you're just going to study the wisdom of Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh. So the locals come up with a drastic plan to disincorporate the town so there is no government to take over. But when the time comes to vote on the matter, it is already too late. The people of Antelope are outnumbered by the cult members. They're outvoted, and they lose control of their own community.
Oh, too slow.
Too slow.
Well, it looks like the education system is going to be changed.
Fully Bhagwanized, yep.
My son came home today and said we are all connected and everyone comes from nature, so treat everything with respect. Not under my roof, you don't.
And also, I need to collect $100 from each of you for the Bhagwan's next Rolls-Royce.
For the petrol.
It needs new tires. He wants ground effects.
His watch needs a clean.
His watch needs a clean. So the first thing these folks do once they take control of the town government is they rename the town Rajneesh. They also change all the street names. Hopefully not all to Rajneesh, because that would be very confusing. Well, you go down Rajneesh, you take a right on Rajneesh. They take a left on Rajneesh.
Can't go wrong. You always end up at Rajneesh.
Always end up at Rajneesh. Just got one address. The poor postman. This is for Rajneesh Street. So they take over the school. The locals were so opposed to what they considered to be the indoctrination of their children that they actually pulled their kids out of the public school and started sending them elsewhere. This is one of my favorites. The post office and cafe became known as, quote, Zorba the Buddha Rajneesh Cafe.
It sounds like they were messing with the locals now.
I mean, you'd think they were doing it ironically,
trolling.
but I think they were 100% honest. But as you can imagine, the locals were outraged. Although one resident was quoted at the time as saying, they had a great stock of beer, I'll say that for them.
Okay. So the ashram had a late license. That's a good
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a good hook. That's how you get them. Yeah. Also, the local parking, all of his Rolls-Royces.
All of the Rolls-Royces.
Yeah.
Yeah. You scratch one of those things and you're really in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So it's starting to turn here.
Yeah,
they've got their foot in the door.
Yeah, the wheels are coming off everything except the Rolls-Royces.
Yeah, they're starting to piss some people off.
Yeah, but the community is small. They're outnumbered by these Rajnishis. So what can they do? And the commune's aspirations didn't end there. In order to build this utopia, they were going to need political power. They wanted to take over at the county level. And what they did is so bizarre and, quite frankly, terrifying. But we're going to get to that after the break. with a county election coming up, the commune leadership decides to try and get some of their own people into office. The first way they tried to boost votes is to go to various nearby communities and pick up homeless people there and tell them, we'll move you to our community, we'll feed you, but only if you vote for us in the upcoming election.
That's one way of doing it, isn't it? Though, don't you need a
Classic
permanent
vote
address and papers to be able to vote?
I think election laws back in the day were a little bit looser in terms of documentation.
Just needed to have a hand.
A pulse, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But they took things to a whole different level. The Rajnishis decided that the best way to win this contest for county government was to somehow keep the locals away from the ballot boxes. And you'll never guess what they did. I mean, the real answer is going to be crazier than anything you'd think of, Tom.
They killed all the locals, anyone who had a local friend or had ever lived locally or liked the word local.
No, they would have gone to jail, and then this story would be about the largest mass murder in American history. You want to try again?
No, tell me. That was my one shot.
Bioterrorism.
So it was murder?
Nope, but they don't actually end up killing anyone. What they do is they get their hands on a solution of salmonella bacteria, and they start going around to local restaurants in the county and pouring this bacteria on the salad bars. And the results were quite staggering. 751 people are infected, and 45 of them wind up in the hospital. Amazingly, no one actually dies, but they very easily could have.
Jeez.
It was the first, and still to this day, largest bioterrorist attack in U.S. history.
Man. I know we said they're not strictly Buddhist, but that's definitely not Buddhist, I would imagine, unless there's some lost texts.
I like to think I'm fairly familiar with the teachings of Buddha, and no place does it say, thou shalt, go amongst,
do whatever it takes.
Go amongst the land and pour deadly bacteria on people's leafy greens. There was a salmonella outbreak in my high school kind of around the same time, and it makes me wonder, was it the Rajnishis?
Right. Isn't that bad karma? It feels like bad karma.
It feels like very, very bad karma.
Yeah.
We didn't have Rajnishis though. We did have the Moonies. In fact, I went to school with the children of the Reverend Kuchin Moon, who's the founder of the cult that becomes known as the Moonies. Yeah, one of them tried to hit me in the head with a plastic hockey stick one time.
Which was laced with salmonella?
No. It was just a plastic hockey stick. But I think it still would have done the trick if he'd succeeded.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would have ended you?
Well, it's a plastic floor hockey stick. It's pretty strong.
You were a threat.
I was a threat. I was no threat. I mean, I was probably just a loudmouth, but...
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe Buddha, because Buddha lived to about 80, I think. Maybe he had a kind of ranty old man phase that we don't know about, where he did kind of say, "Oh, fuck it."
I don't
Just
think...
get him. Just get him. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Nope, I think the Buddha
People's
never...
hearts are so closed, they don't have God in them.
No.
I am God. I know. Just kill him.
No, I am 99.99% certain that Siddhartha Buddha never actually went into that phase. So it's just like laughing at flowers and sitting quietly and meditating.
Sure, but was he married? Because men turn weird if there's not a woman around. We've seen it. He sits on the front porch on his rocking chair.
Oh, God, it was better around here in the 1920s.
I think
he wasn't around in the 1920s, was he?
No, he absolutely was not. I think the whole point of enlightenment is to avoid that crotchety sunset years.
Yeah.
I think he just sat very still.
It just sounds a little bit like maybe enlightenment wasn't something that the Bhagwan had achieved. Because was he overseeing this?
Enrichment, absolutely.
No, but was he telling people to pour the salmonella in the salad?
Well, this is the huge debate, and I've actually read up on this. And what actually happened was his secretary, who will come into the story a little bit later, who orchestrated this, had a recording of it, which she said shows that he's giving assent to this plan.
Oh.
But defenders, as you can imagine, because he's a very popular, charismatic cult leader, he had a lot of defenders, said, his secretary had a habit of just bringing him these vague proposals that he would just say, yeah, whatever, and kind of manipulating him to agree to whatever they proposed.
Right.
So there's a lot of debate about how much he knew, to what extent he assented, I mean, I think the consensus is that he did know, but didn't necessarily know the details.
I think it's kind of, you have to take responsibility. It's like if you're a CEO of a company where there's like a mass harassment claim against your institution, and the CEO is like, I never grabbed any
I
asses.
didn't know there was cyanide in the juice boxes.
Exactly. It's like you can't. How can you claim to be a kind of conscious, ultra aware, this
omniscient deity,
super purposeful, person, and then be like, oh, salmonella poured into the salad upon someone's request? I knew nothing. It seems a bit unlikely.
And by some accounts, actually, at one point he even says something on the lines of, well, I hope nobody dies, but if it has to happen, it has to happen. I mean, you got to imagine that someone who has 93 Rolls-Royces and hundreds of thousands of adorers and is claiming to be God is not entirely sane. I'm just saying that.
I think once you've started pouring salmonella into salads, I think you kind of undermine your utopian message either way.
You've kind of undermined it. Hey, you can't make an omelet.
The original spirit of
eggs.
Woodstock is gone.
It's
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it didn't actually work. We should point out.
Okay.
The local residents suspected that Rajneesh's followers were behind the poisonings, and they worked out a plan to stop people. That they had worked out this plan to stop people getting to the polls. Right. So they actually turn out in droves on election day, and they end up winning by a landslide.
Okay.
And to make matters worse for the cult, the FBI is now onto them. And in October of 1985, they raid the commune. They find glass vials that test positive for salmonella, that the same kind that had been found in the salad bar. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. They found evidence of a whole series of plans to assassinate various public officials.
Oh, goodness. Salmonella on the property. I mean, you've got to dump that after you've poured it on the salad. You're going to throw that out.
I mean, there's not a lot of
off a bridge.
Other uses for salmonella.
Are you taking the salmonella back to the thing? What are you going to, just in case?
Well, they found traces because it was created in a laboratory on the compound, and it's very hard to completely sterilize all that stuff unless you're setting out to completely sterilize all that stuff. And you never know when you're going to need more salmonella.
As the saying goes.
Yeah, I mean that's how it's marketed. It's like you're never going to know when you're going to need more salmonella.
Okay, is that why
useful
my mum
for
kept
poisoning
salmonella in the fridge?
for discouraging in-laws to come and visit, getting rid of pesky guests.
Yeah, altering the state of the
altering the electoral
alliances.
Dynamics of your county. It's 1,001 uses salmonella.
Oh man. Okay, so the
comes with a free spritzer.
The local population are fighting back.
Yes.
And the
FBI
are in, which is presumably has to be the beginning of the end at this point if the feds are involved.
Yeah. Well, the Bhagwan is deported from the U.S. in late 1985 and moves back to India. For the locals of Antelope, this was a huge relief. It's like this long-running war was over. And the following year, they get the name of their town back. Remember, it had been changed by the Rajneeshi cult, when they were in power. But the damage had been done. Half the town's original residents had already left, and the town really never recovered, which is why today you have, this kind of half-abandoned community.
Okay. I presume this is the end for the cult as well?
I mean, they had a lot of followers, and, his books are still published.
Yeah.
It's never going to enjoy the popularity that it did then. Presumably he has to sell a few of the Rolls-Royces to, pay for his legal fees. But it doesn't disappear entirely, no.
I doubt it. I think there was so much money sloshing around. From what I recall, there was many, many rich people coming and staying who were kind of funding it and they were kind of corrupting him, or he was allowing himself to be corrupted. Wild Wild Country, the documentary, he ends up just using laughing gas and taking drugs. And I mean, laughing gas does feel like enlightenment from experience.
Sure.
Why not just, save yourself the
There's
hassle?
a lot of kids in my neighborhood every Friday night seeking enlightenment by the number of canisters I find the next morning.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is, the members of this cult, this adoring, cult of personality. One of the natures of this cult worship is no matter what you hear, you don't give up faith in the individual. Like no matter what crimes they're accused of or what crimes they have obviously committed, it's like no, they're being victimized. Like they're the one who
they didn't know.
They're people are coming. Their enemies are trying to bring them down. So on and so forth. Like that level of belief is very hard to penetrate, even with ironclad evidence.
It's very tricky, isn't it? Because I really love his books.
Really?
Like, his books have changed my life. Seriously.
But does this knowing what he
But knowing it, and I also know other things.
People?
There's another documentary called Children of the Cult,
Yeah.
which is a follow-up to Wild Wild Country, which talks about the children and how they were treated, and that's not even mentioned in the Netflix show, which for me is really appalling, actually. Because the Netflix documentary is kind of portrayed in this art house, kind of almost farcical, but mixed with kind of art house style. So it's kind of very visually rich and beautiful and amusing. But then you find out that there was all these kids who were basically being sexually assaulted.
Yeah, and this is
because he was all about, sex should be everywhere all the time, and there shouldn't be an age of consent.
Yeah, this is why I don't subscribe to any cults or hero worship. And the only Wallace I recognize is Christopher Wallace.
Who's he?
Notorious B.I.G.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
But he's not a religious cult leader. He's just a really, really good musician.
And he's dead.
And he is dead.
Which makes him easier to like
and
to worship.
I would prefer it if he was still alive and still making music. Jimi Hendrix too.
Yeah, he'd be 85 now.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Okay, so this is one of the things that strikes me here is that salad was the target. So they must have really liked salad.
As a vegan, does this worry you in particular?
No, just the fact that
poisoned
salad,
hamburgers would be better.
The fact that there's so many people eating salad is quite encouraging.
Well, it's classic for a restaurant in America at the time to have a salad bar.
And that would that have been salad, or would that have been potatoes slathered
no,
in mayonnaise?
No, not German potato salad. This is a salad bar with greens and carrots. Okay. And they also, a high class, how you tell a high class salad bar? It has a sneeze guard.
Oh, really?
It has a little plastic shield to prevent
because of the Dust Bowl coming from Route 66?
No, because of the sneezes coming from humans.
Oh.
I guess you had to maneuver around that to get the salmonella.
Salad is very sneezy?
No, but you don't want people snotting on your salad.
Oh, so just because it's just out?
Just because it's out.
Oh, right.
You got to protect it. So, back to Antelope. The remaining residents are trying to put this dark chapter behind them. They're reopening cafes. They're setting up RV parks. They're also working on getting a dark sky designation for Antelope in the hope that it'll bring a new kind of tourism to town. That is to say, designation that this is an ideal spot for watching meteor showers, stars, planets, that type of stuff. Because you're in the middle of nowhere and it's a small community, so very little light pollution.
Okay, dark sky. What's it called?
A dark sky designation.
Okay, I didn't know what that was. It sounded like anti-Buddhism to me.
No, I had to look it up.
We tried that Buddhism. Now we got dark sky here.
Well, and my first reaction was it's like, we're trying to encourage aliens, which I would like to say, again, for the record, do not exist. But
not for the record, in your opinion. You can't say
for the record,
unequivocally.
Do not exist.
For the record.
For the love of Mike. I'm not going down this rabbit hole again.
Not in everyone's record.
Back to the story.
Thank you for tuning in, anyone that does believe in aliens. We value your support. Thank you for leaving all reviews. We see you. We hear you.
No, we don't.
We
absolutely
value you.
Do not. just let the scales fall from your eyes.
Nothing is real. Anything can be real.
What?
Come on, Sasha.
Said no scholar.
Get out of here, pal. Get more into here, okay?
Said no scientist ever.
Yeah, it's not all about science.
I think you're reading the Bhagwan's books too closely, man. You're losing your grip.
So he went back to India, changed his name to Osho, or Osho if you're an idiot. 58 he died. He died at age 58.
Run over by one of his own Rolls-Royces.
Yeah, he left it on. The hand, what's the clutch? No, the hand. Oh,
handbrake. And cut. We're done here.
So Osho died.
Yeah.
At 58, which I also think undermines him weirdly. We kind of like our gurus to live to 106.
A quite old age.
58 suggests he was doing something wrong, doesn't it? Maybe eating too much of his own salad.
Oh, you fool! I told you to get the salad dressing and you got the salmonella, you idiot!
Salmonella dressing.
Don't call me a fool, you nasty person.
So
I should have changed secretaries after the bioterrorist attack.
They always turn on you in the end.
They always do.
So tell me about the secretary.
The story is that this was the person who really arranged all this.
So she was seen as
behind the brains, the true instigator. Yeah,
as the puppet master almost.
Yeah, that's how she comes off by in the accounts that I read.
Because she was confronted in the follow-up documentary, Children of the Cult. One of the children who was abused went to find her and sat opposite her and said, you had given the instruction to these men that they should be having sex with kids.
And how did she
I was one of
respond?
those kids. She said, this was part of the teaching. This was the
Oh,
context.
this was part of the
This was
teaching.
the context that I was in. This was the
dear
time I
Lord.
was in. These were the teachings I'd been given. And then she got defensive and got up and walked out.
Yeah.
But the thing is about that is it was a very different presentation of her to this kind of eccentric, quite likable, though quite brittle person from the Wild Wild Country documentary. So it was a really important thing to see.
Sociopaths can be quite charming, apparently.
Yeah, that's almost their USP, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of how they get you.
It's kind of how they get you.
Yeah. See Ted Bundy. Have we got any Ted Bundy stories we could do?
Abandoned Ted Bundy.
Abandoned buildings of Ted Bundy. Yeah, this is a fascinating story, isn't it? Of yet another movement that goes wrong with its original premise.
Yeah.
And then what happens of it?
Well, I think
Because of man being man. And I mean woman as well as man.
The real danger is the idea of the cult of personality, which I always think of that Living Color song, right? Cult of personality.
Oh no. We're a slightly different generation.
Something, and you love me. I tell you, 1 and 1 makes 3. The cult leader, like once you've gotten that person wholly and they've surrendered all their judgment, and there's a kind of liberation in that surrender. They can tell you anything.
After
Tell you up is down, black is white, like it's not raining, and you will just take it on faith that that's the truth. And I think democratic societies, the individual can't afford to put aside their own critical judgment, and we have to be most critical sometimes of the folks who we agree with. That we should never just say, oh, this person believes the same thing I do or feels the same, so they must be right in all things. Each
Deference.
individual has to make that judgment carefully and always, analyze the decisions that even the people we adore are making, and seeing if those are actually the best choices.
Yeah.
Best choices for them, best choices for us, best choices for society.
Remain active, remain conceptual,
remain
and
active,
alert.
remain vigilant, remain not necessarily cynical, but don't give up your critical faculties for anyone. And the moment you should stop trusting people is when they say, "Trust me."
I also think, as you said about surrender, that does put you in a difficult position. It feels good, and it does kind of mean that you opt out of that kind of awkward work of remaining constantly, in progress. But you actually kind of defer to someone. That does feel nice, but it does. I do think when the leader of whatever group you're part of does start shagging everyone and trying to poison the locals with salmonella, you should probably just pull it back a little bit and go, well, maybe this is not quite what we...
But it's seductive, like losing yourself in a crowd, whether it's a crowd at a football game or a crowd of religious devotees or a political rally. Erich Fromm, the classic psychoanalyst, called it the escape from freedom. Like he described this kind of ecstasy of surrendering, like all the the pain and anxiety and worry that comes with recognizing that you're an individual human being with only a limited amount of power, a limited amount of knowledge, a limited amount of options. Like giving all that up is this kind of pleasurable moment where you just move with the crowd. But if you've ever seen a crowd behave, that's when humans are at their most dangerous, I think.
Yeah, and the spiritual realm, Osho himself, the Bhagwan, said the spiritual ego is the biggest ego.
Yeah.
And you can see that kind of arrogance of kind of like, oh no, we come with God. We are part of God. We are God.
Yeah.
We should be able to do whatever we want. And once you start bending the rules, that's when you're in trouble. Once you start thinking that morality doesn't apply to you.
Oh, when you're above morality.
That's the beginning of the end, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And I also think that good leaders, to me, one of the things that characterizes a good leader is humility and even doubt. That sense of like, I'm not sure if I'm always doing the right thing. I have to recognize my own limitations. I have to recognize, the knowledge that I don't have. And that to me is a sign of wisdom. And I think we want our leaders to be not just strong, but wise. I'd say that's probably the number one quality that we need in
But
leading.
we don't ever hear about those ones because they're not doing these things. They're quietly going about self-censure and being monitored and keeping it all together. And thank God I don't have the power to make those decisions. Because would I be different? Probably not.
Oh no,
I probably would.
The cult of Tom would be a truly terrifying thing.
Yeah, man, I'd be spraying out of my Rolls-Royce salmonella everywhere I
and
went.
They'd just be listening to weird, obscure '80s bands all the time.
I'd have Bronski Beat flown in every weekend. Again,
drinking that strange green stuff out of your jar, whatever that is. I mean, it looks like salmonella. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, thank God thank God we haven't been put in this position.
Thank God. Thank God.
Thank God, who is me.
Great danger. And this podcast might be the beginning of that, though. It might be, us with 93 Rolls-Royces spreading salmonella around.
Yeah. And now, I've got about 10, 15 of his books at my house, and I've got a painting of him, which I took down after learning about the abuse. And it's like, what happens to all the teachings, the things that have changed my life? They're still real. Yeah. But now I have to separate that and go, oh, he was part of the same foolishness that he would talk about in his books, about the idiocy of man and the greed and the corruption. And it's like, oh, look, you did it as well, which is so disappointing. Yeah. But you've got to try and separate. I mean, if we weren't able to separate the artist from the art, would we have anything?
Good point. For myself, I have to say that even if I became a cult leader as a pacifist, I could never poison people. I think what I could do is just discourage them from going to the polls by spraying Axe body spray everywhere, which is does repel ordinary human beings as well.
Yeah,
in my experience.
Or you could just stand outside looking really disapproving.
That's what I do every day.
I'm not happy to see you here at the polls. What are you going to vote? Who are you going to vote for? Is it going to be me, or is it going to be those idiots over there?
No, I wouldn't say that.
But you are a professor, and he was a professor, so
Oh yeah, so many similarities.
Is this how it starts?
Look, we got the same facial hair too.
You both got beards.
Like, born from the same mother practically.
You both got that far away look.
He doesn't believe in aliens either.
He doesn't believe in aliens either. You're right. The commonalities just never end. We did own a Rolls-Royce at one point.
You act like you think you're God.
I do not act like I think I'm God.
Always bragging about your women.
I do not brag about my women.
My wife is.
And also, there are no women. What are you talking about?
Watches? You like watches?
Did he like watches?
Yeah.
Watches didn't come into the story at all.
Of watches.
You're just making that up now.
True.
I don't.
Lewis?
He's not. What?
There you go.
Don't encourage him. All right, I know, and I'm ending it.
That's a cut. No, that's a cut.
Goodbye.
Hey, get back here. Hey, come on. Hey, Sasha. No, you don't walk out on me, man. Get out of here. Fuck you.
Producer Lewis here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Where Did Everyone Go? New episodes every Wednesday. Follow, comment, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out.